The ecological value of Florida Springs is brought to you by Sensing Nature.
Did you know that Florida has springs?
Florida has springs? I thought they only had summer.
Yeah, so geologists estimate that Florida is home to more than 1,000 springs, which is thought to be the highest concentration of freshwater springs in the world.
That is a lot of springs. But what is a spring exactly?
A spring is a natural opening in the ground where water flows directly from the aquifer to the Earth's surface. An aquifer is underground porous rock or sediment that gets saturated with groundwater, which is replenished by seasonal rainfall. Springs form when this groundwater is under pressure and flows through a spring vent up into the surface. Therefore, springs can tell us a significant amount about the ecological health of our groundwater. Additionally, they are some of the most biologically diverse ecosystems on the planet. Flora and fauna aren't the only ones that depend on springs. Springs are perfect for recreational activities like swimming and kayaking, are important for the economy of local communities, and are responsible for providing Floridians with 90% of their potable drinking water, making preserving springs' health vital for protecting our health and the future of our state.
What do you think? Aren't springs pretty cool?
Yeah, I never knew how crucial Florida springs are for our environmental and personal health. Are there any ways to indicate their condition?
Yes, there are 3 common indicators. There are water quality, flow and discharge, and fish and wildlife habitat.
The first indicator is water quality. If you've ever been to a spring, chances are you've noticed their exceptionally clear water. Clarity is essential for aquatic vegetation growth. 2 other significant attributes associated with water quality in determining a spring's health are its salinity and nutrient levels. Nutrients control a multitude of ecological processes and can lead to imbalances of plants and animals. Meanwhile, salinity influences the type and abundance of organisms. Our second indicator is flow and discharge. One of the primary features of a spring system is the amount of water that is discharged from spring vents. This is the main source of flow that is responsible for maintaining rivers. Flow affects spring ecology by preventing algal blooms, stabilizing water temperature, stimulating productivity, and minimizing detrital buildup. Finally, springs also create important habitat for aquatic vegetation, fish, birds, alligators, otters, and turtles, to name a few. Several springs also provide warm water refuges for the endangered West Indian manatee in the winter.
Do our actions, as humans, have any significant impact on springs?
Yes, actually. Human impacts are having detrimental effects on our vital spring habitats, which is the last indicator I mentioned.
Spring habitat consists of both the submerged aquatic vegetation and the wetland and upland habitat next to the spring. Wetland habitats support a diverse array of organisms and provide essential services, including bank stabilization, removing nutrients, and the filtration of suspended particles to improve water quality. The development of wetlands near springs causes severe habitat loss and increased sedimentation, both of which threaten these vital functions. Sedimentation is a process that can smother aquatic vegetation and other benthic habitats, killing off not only the vegetation, but also the species that depend on it. Furthermore, climate change is having a detrimental effect on the salinity of Florida springs. Sea level rise causes increased salinity, especially in coastal springs. In the past 100 years, sea level has risen 7 inches, and this has caused an encroachment of water from the Gulf of Mexico due to the naturally low elevation of springs, leading to widespread impacts.
What can I do to help Florida springs?
Well, I'm so glad you asked. There are plenty of ways you can help our amazing springs.
Remember how spring discharged is replenished by rainfall? Any area from which rainfall would drain into a spring is known as a spring shed. Therefore, springs are only as healthy as their spring shed. Spring shed areas are much larger than just the land immediately surrounding a spring, so chances are you either live on or very close to a spring shed. For example, the Rainbow Springs spring shed is approximately 735 square miles, spanning 3 counties. Pollution in the form of stormwater runoff, containing agricultural waste, has one of the worst impacts on springs' health. Excess nitrogen from the agricultural waste when put in spring water leads to increased algal growth, which in turn depletes the water's oxygen. This makes it much more difficult for wildlife and vegetation to thrive. In general, make sure you never dump anything in storm drains. A few other measures you can take involve planting native or drought-tolerant vegetation and being mindful of your water usage. Take shorter showers, turn off the faucet when you're not using it, and avoid buying single-use plastics whenever possible. It takes 22 gallons of water to make a single pound of plastic, and a plastic water bottle requires over twice as much water as what's contained inside to make.
I think that about wraps it up.
Thank you for teaching me. I can't wait to educate my friends and family on the ecological value of Florida springs.
Find out more information, please visit us at www.sensingnature.com. Thank you.